Welcome back to Lucid Living. And if this is your first time, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you aboard. My name is Andrew Larkin. I'm an actor, model, performer, storyteller, breathwork coach, and today I'm going to be your host, your guide for today's podcast episode. All right, my friends. Today we got a cool one today. We got a cool one. This is a human, an artist, a person that I've met. Honestly, it's been about like a month, but we connected pretty cool, and she's pretty cool, and I'm really excited to dive into this conversation. But before we introduce this guest, we're gonna start off with some nice, grounded, balanced box breathing. So today we're gonna do 3 rounds of a 4 second box breath. That's an inhale for four, a hold for four, an exhale for four, and a hold at the bottom for four. And as we do this, the technique today, we're going to inhale through the nose. And as we inhale through the nose, you're going to fill up your diaphragm like you're filling up a nice big water balloon, expanding, hold at the top, and then exhale out the mouth. Bring that belly back in. And we're just going to float for four. My friends, let's start. And whether this is your morning, your afternoon, or your night, it just brings a little bit of stillness, a little bit of mindfulness for the rest of the day. So let's take this time for us. Now let's begin by inhaling through the nose in three and two and one. Big inhale through the nose. Two, three, four. Hold it. Two, three, four. Exhale out the mouth. Three, two, one. Hold it. Three, two, one. Inhale through the nose. Nice big belly. Two, three, four. Hold it. Two, three, four. Exhale out the mouth. Three, two, one. Hold it. Three, two, one. Last one. Big inhale through the nose. Two, three, four. Hold it. Two, three, four. Exhale out the mouth. Three, two, one. Hold it. Three, two. And return to your natural breathing. Wiggle the toes, wiggle the fingertips. Take a sip of water if you feel called.
I do.
Now, my friends, today we got an actor, a singer, a songwriter, a cat mama, a
Yeah,
beach lover. Is Kassidy Kimata. What's going on?
beautiful.
Yeah, it was okay. I was working on the pronunciation earlier, but we're doing
I think
great.
that's
How are you doing?
amazing. I'm great. How are you? So
I'm
happy.
good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for
All
having
right, my
me.
friend. We always start off with the here and the now, the only time that ever exists. So right now, let the audience know, where are you geographically in the world, and how are you feeling in this particular season of life?
Yeah, I'm in a small little town called Audubon, Pennsylvania. Um, near KOP. I am back at home. Um, and I'm just kind of I feel like I'm in between seasons right now. And I'm just kind of trying to get myself grounded before I go on to my next adventure.
That is
So,
a beautiful answer.
yeah.
That's a beautiful, honest answer, man. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, so for anyone who doesn't know, I did give a little introduction that we met like a month ago on a student film. If you're an actor listening to this, student films are so rad because you connect with some really cool artistic people. You get to build a little bit of a resume, a demo reel, and you also get to work the craft. And again, you're connected with some cool people. So we met like a month ago and we filmed for 3 days. And I'm so excited to dive deeper into this. Now, I like to start off. Now we're going into the past. When I connect with anyone, and we connected on and just asking a lot of questions, very similarly to the question we're going to ask today, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper. But just because I'm always curious when I reflect on myself, a lot of who I am came from my childhood, came from my upbringing, my environment, and as I connect with other people, I'm always fascinated by hearing that them share their stories in their own words. So Cassidy, if you don't
Ah,
mind sharing, what was life like for little Cassidy? Little
nasty.
Cassidy entering this world, and what was your family like? What was the environment like? What was, elementary school, middle school, high school, those progressions, the likes and the dislikes, pros and cons, and that whole journey, if you want to share in your own words, what was life like for a young Cassidy?
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about this. Um, and something about me is I have the memory of like a little squirrel. So my memory is really bad. But from what I can remember, um, I've lived here my whole life. Same house, same place, same school district. And I was a very optimistic kid. And kind of an unhealthy amount of optimistic. I was quite the people pleaser, which I still am, but I think I've worked on it. But I just wanted everything to kind of be rainbows and butterflies all the time. Uh, and I didn't like upsetting people. I found that a lot of my friendships, especially in like elementary school, if my two friends were fighting, I was always in the middle. I've always been like Switzerland, and I won't pick a side, but be like, yeah, you're right. No, yeah, you're right. Um, so yeah, that's something I noticed. But I I grew up very busy. I I went to church just like 5 minutes away. It's a Lutheran church, and they still are like a second family to me. It was a very nurturing, accepting church. And that's where I started singing. So I joined like the choir when I was like 5, and then I started singing solos in church. And um, so I grew up there, and I uh, also played basketball from like 5 years old to freshman year of high school. I did softball for a while, gymnastics, cheerleading. I played like soccer for a year. So very involved with sports. My brother, also I have an older brother. He played football. And so I remember going to all of his football games, which was very fun. I just had a very like busy, I was always busy. My dad is in a rock band. I started singing with them when I was 10. So I spent Saturday nights in bars as like a 10-year-old, 11-year-old with my mom and my brother. And then the next morning we would go to church. Um, and yeah, just busy. And that carried on throughout all of my schooling. And I try to even think like how I survived high school. How did I wake up at like what, 6:30 a.m., got ready for school, did a whole day of school, then um either had a rehearsal right after school, or I would go home, try to do homework, or I would like dog sit across the street. I would do that. And then I'd have to go to another rehearsal, or I would have practice for something. And I'd get home at like 10 p.m. And that was like every single day for me. Like I've never known peace.
Hmm.
And that's made me, I consider myself a very driven person, but also very much so a workaholic. And that even carried into like college. I was working like 3 jobs at one point while also doing full-time school, while also doing full-time rehearsals because I went to college for theater. So, uh, but still like while being very busy and doing things, I've never been like I'm not frantic. Like I'm a very calm person, which I attribute that to astrology that I believe in very deeply because my sun and my rising signs are air, which is very like, just you just go with the flow.
Mhm.
Um, but then I have a Leo moon, which is like a fire, very like, and that's your emotions. So I'm just like very like headstrong, driven
Mhm.
person. So they all kind of balance out.
Mhm.
What was the question?
I mean, you answered it pretty well. You answered it really
Yeah,
well. That
I
was great.
tried.
I love the sign element too, because for anyone who, again, not that it's like witchcrafty. I don't know, astrology is kind of
Yeah,
it's etheric, which is beautiful. But we just
yeah,
took a student film about a bit of witchcraft. It's pretty
true.
cool. That was pretty
Yeah,
cool. That was pretty cool.
yeah,
Now, I'm curious because it's amazing what the human body and the mind is capable of when you're thrust and put into that environment. Like when you're in middle school, when you're in high school, and you have
yeah.
jobs and you have structure and you have like we went to like 7 hours of school. Like it was crazy. And then
Well,
we had
don't even
sports.
know how we did that
We had
now.
sports for like 3 hours, then you have homework, and then you if you're working a job on top, like it's
Yeah,
it's actually crazy
yeah.
for so much of your life. And then you kind of go to college, like you said, you're working 3 jobs. You're
Hmm.
also having to study your ass off, and you're performing and you're preparing and you're rehearsing. And then you graduate, and then that structure kind of goes away a little bit, and you
Yeah.
have to kind of find those things. So how is the transition? We'll go back to the beginning in a bit, but how is the transition from like having that kind of structure, like people telling you what to do and where to be, to then having to create your own schedule once you graduated?
Yeah. Well, I think because I graduated in May, and then I had been a lifeguard and doing like pool maintenance in the summers throughout college. So I went back to that. So I was working 40 hours a week all summer doing pool maintenance. So I kind of still, I had like a job right away. So I was still kind of working and trying to like audition and stuff. But what really affected me was the social aspect of not being around my friends anymore. And I was even surprised to hear that because I am quite an introvert. And, my friends would go out and I'd be like, no. That's like, no. Which is also something that I had to come to terms with growing up because I didn't realize that my social battery is filled when I'm alone. And I need to have my alone time where I'm singing or I'm listening to music. And so growing up, my friends would ask me to hang out. And sometimes I wouldn't have a reason. I would just be like, sorry, I can't. I don't, there's nothing else going on. I just need to be alone right now. And I felt very guilty for that a lot of the time. But I grew and realized I'm just, protecting my peace, and that's what I need.
Mhm.
Anyway, but yeah, the social aspect was kind of a hard thing for me to adjust to, just because you've spent your whole life being around people your age every day and having those people to relate to. So then I did like this whole summer just working, and I saw my friends sometimes, but of course it wasn't as much as it was all of this time. And then uh, in at the end of September, I flew down to North Carolina, did a quick little film. Then I flew to Missouri. See, I don't even remember where I went. And then started like a choir tour. So I went across the country, and then I went to Maryland, and then did a contract there. Was home for a month, then moved to Tennessee, and then did a theater contract there for a year, and now I'm back home. So I've kept myself busy still.
Mhm.
I just don't know how to not do anything.
That's all right. Hey, that's where the greatest artists are. That's where they are. And
Yes.
I want to touch on this because I know you talked about this earlier and you brought it up now, and
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by this concept as well. The idea of an introvert versus an extrovert.
Hmm.
Because I was going through some of your videos and like I've never like gone to a live performance of you on stage, but
Right.
I'm like an introvert can't do that. Can't do what you do up there. You know what I'm saying? And there's actually a term called an ambivert, which is like
Yeah.
and I think like I identify as that too.
Yeah.
Because you have to set your boundaries. You have to build your batteries up. You have to have like that independence, be in nature, be with by yourself, make your music, be with your cats, have that
Yes.
time. But I think it's like a selective space. Like there are certain energies or frequencies that if you're in that environment,
Yeah.
like around a lot of drinking, which I want to talk about too, because I know you grew
Okay.
up kind of in that environment,
Right.
just going to your dad's concerts,
Yeah.
or performances, but I just wanted to highlight like I've seen you on like I've seen videos of you on stage and you turn into a superstar. So if you just want to touch on this for a little bit, with like does it is it like you put on your cape and you start, you know what I'm saying? Like because I'm like people can't like usually do that. And I always found it super interesting where you had these like every grade has like the quote unquote popular kids, the quote unquote nerdy kids, the quote unquote
Hmm.
this, that. And a lot of the people who identified as like popular, they were into sports, they were into this, and they
Yeah.
were tired, like they would never be able to get on stage and be free the way that you are.
Mhm.
And I don't know where you landed in that world of whatever that is in high school, but
Yeah.
I always found sometimes there's like the quote unquote shyest person or the person who doesn't connect or doesn't fit in, doesn't belong. And then they get tossed onto a stage and it's like everything makes sense and their confidence comes out. I don't know if they step into an alter ego, but it's like the most beautiful, coolest thing I've ever seen ever.
Yeah.
And stage is like it's a calling for I think some people. And I think it's definitely is for you. So what is it like maybe if you want to speak on like the first time you got on stage, maybe it was
Yeah.
singing in front of that church to
Yeah.
the song and as you continue to get on stage.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely it had to have had been at church that I had like my first solo. And I guess now that just feels like something I've always done. And of course, like people still get like nerves when they
Mm,
go up, but definitely, being able to do that in an environment where like they're all gonna clap for you when you're done singing. Even if you sound horrible, you're in church, they're gonna clap for you.
mm,
So I think having that just supportive atmosphere, it erased a lot of the fear for me. But I do remember my elementary school, they used to my the lunch aide loved like American Idol. So at the end of lunch, you'd be like, okay, we're having American Idol. Someone go up there and sing.
mm.
And it was probably like second grade. I went up with my friend and we sang a Taylor Swift song. I think it was Back to December. And that was the first time I sang it from my peers. I don't remember anything more than that. But I wasn't scared to do it. I think whenever I go on stage and sing and perform, it's like people aren't even there for me. Like selfishly, I just do it for me because that's what I love. So it's like everything else, yeah, I guess everything else just disappears and it
Mm.
doesn't. it's just I'm just in my room singing in front of my mirror, which I had a karaoke machine all growing up, and it was like I used that so much when I got in trouble and my mom had to take something from me, it was my karaoke machine.
Hmm.
That was my punishment because that's
Yeah.
how much I used it all the time.
Hmm. That's
So I
awesome.
get it. Yeah, I just kind of feel that when I go on stage, so it doesn't feel.
Yeah. So the live performance aspect, which I guess naturally ties into you performing and doing theater and feeling comfortable on stage. I just listened to like Joe Rogan's podcast with Miley Cyrus,
Mhm.
and it's a different level of kind of performance where you're on stage and you're performing in front of thousands and thousands of people,
Yeah.
and you get that dopamine, you get that adrenaline, and then ultimately you're touring, you're doing it a lot, and you hear a lot of celebrities, a lot of famous artists and musicians who get into drugs and alcohol abuse because when they're not performing, like that's like the highest drug you can possibly like that 2 hour performance, the 2 hour set is like the highest drug you could possibly get to. And then everyday life is just like kind of less than that. So they feel the need to like overcompensate for
Wow.
that, and it's really kind of it's really a scary kind of reality for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So do you feel that like high when you're performing, and then is it something that like you're constantly trying to like chase? Is that I don't know, that's a weird question.
Y- yeah. I feel it, I guess. But it's not something that I'm always trying to chase. Like I'm okay. I'm just as okay singing in my room as I am singing on a
Yeah, you
stage.
do it for the love of it. You do it for the love of it. And then I
Yeah.
also wanted to ask because you don't drink or do drugs
Oh,
really, and I think that's so cool for anyone who's like really young in your 20s because I know so many people who really do it since high school to you're like 50 and 60 and your body starts degrading.
yeah.
And I'm curious kind of what that choice was for you and how it is like socially because it's such an unfortunate like I was just in Europe recently and so much of big city life is nightlife, and nightlife is intricately tied to drinking and socializing. We don't need to do that. And I think Tom
Yeah.
Holland's such a cool example of someone who went through a journey and now he's starting his own non-alcoholic beer company, which is really cool. And yeah, so I'm just curious, was it growing up going to your dad's, events at bars, was that an influence on you for making that kind of decision?
We actually like discussed that because they had played when I was like 21 or 22 and my mom was there and she's like it's just like we never like took you out like for drinks on your 21st birthday and I was like yeah I mean I've grown up in bars and I guess like seeing all the drunk people and like being it was yeah exposure therapy I don't know but like exposed to all the atmosphere at such a young age I'm like because some people are like 21 let's go to a bar for the first time and like I've been I've seen it all so it
Mhm.
wasn't that like this big amazing thing for me and maybe even in college that's why I was like I don't really want to go because
Mhm.
I knew what it was all about. Yeah, I definitely thought about that later and I was like maybe that influenced it, but I've also just never been interested. I don't know. And when I was younger too, there was a part of it. I have a niece who she was born when I was 6. And she was born with half a heart. So she spent most of her life in the hospital, and she's actually had a second heart transplant since then. She's had her spleen taken out, like has of all these surgeries. So I think when I was younger, I was like, she's had all these terrible things happen to her and not being her choice. So why would I purposefully, do something to my body that's going to hurt it?
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just selfish when she has all these things taken away from her.
Mhm.
So
100%.
yeah, that's
That's
another
beautiful.
reason. Yeah.
All right, now, so you're doing basketball at a young age. You're singing.
Um,
You've been singing since you could walk,
yeah.
And then you're in high school. Are you? When does sports start like becoming like start wavering off, and then like music and art starts like really taking the role? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Is that high school?
because I was doing a lot of it at the same time. And I was in like 6th grade. I was in band, orchestra, and chorus, and band, and basketball and softball. Um, so I was doing all the things, but and I eventually had to give up orchestra because you couldn't do all three. So I was just doing band and chorus. And then um I guess when I did my first musical in 8th grade, so then I did the musical so I couldn't play basketball because they were both at the same time at school, my middle school. And then, yeah, got to high school and that's when I did the freshman team basketball. And I wouldn't have stopped, but I was 5'4", so my height was getting me nowhere. I was like, I cannot play. Everyone's getting taller, and I am still so short. I also like I wasn't the greatest. I just kind of did it for fun.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, I would have kept going if I could have done all of them, and if it didn't get as competitive as like JV and varsity high school sports get. But yeah, it was ninth grade, and then uh, in 10th grade, I was able to do jazz band instead of basketball
Mhm.
because that kind of takes that spot. So then I did
Mhm.
jazz band throughout high school and then theater and then yeah.
Mhm. Cool,
So
cool,
yeah,
cool. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
then, as you're a senior and you're starting to look at colleges, did you want to focus, like, was the thought ever, I want to go and I just want to study music, or it
Mhm.
was theater and then you choose a college for that?
So it was I didn't want to do theater. And I only did like I did all four of the plays. The plays were in the fall. I did in high school. I did the plays. I got to the end. And I was like, I hate this. And then I wouldn't do the musicals in the winter. And then we go back to the next year. I was like, I'll give it another chance. Hated the plays. Didn't do the musical. And it wasn't until my junior year that I actually did the musical at the high school. And then yeah, we're going into my senior year, and I was set on going for either music performance or music education. And then my senior year of high school, I took AP Music Theory the first semester. And I said, no, I cannot teach this. I don't want to take any more of this. It is, I mean, because music is like a different language within itself, but in learning all of the music theory is really hard. And I was like, yeah, no way I can teach this. So I kind of scratched or music education. And then for performance, a lot of the colleges I was looking at, it was you could either go for opera or jazz. And I was like, I'm not necessarily either of those. And that's not what I want to do. And at the time, I wasn't into songwriting. I couldn't write a song for the life of me. So I was like, what what can I do where I can sing songs that are already written? And I was like, theater. You just go and you go and sing already songs that are written and established. So my choir teacher recommended the school. She's like, baby. This school. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And then it was pretty much like the only school I auditioned. Like if I didn't get in there, I don't know what I would have done. I was just like,
Mhm.
all right, fine, I'll do it. So yeah, I ended up going to DeSales University for musical theater.
And then how was it? Did you start falling like back or in love with theater with that kind of performance? Or are we still doing music stuff on the side?
I was like only really doing theater. I mean, I would go to like the practice rooms and I would sing my pop songs because that's what I've always wanted to do is just sing pop music. But it was like heavily focused on theater, and I was at quite a disadvantage because I had never taken an acting class, I'd never taken a dance class. All I could do was sing. So I really didn't have the greatest of success in college. I wasn't cast very much. Um, my peers, especially like the women, were have been doing this since they were like, 4 or 5. So I was kind of at a disadvantage. I need to let my cat out. Hold on. Um, but yeah, I already forgot the question.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. All right, and then I think as we talked about, how did you for anyone who like wants to perform and do music, you had like a solid amount of success after college, which is not, I feel
Yeah.
like, the common route from a lot of the people I've been talking to.
Mm,
It's really hard to kind of book a gig, and
yeah.
if you want to share about the Cornerstone chorale and
Oh yeah.
brass
That was
chorus, sorry.
so like all of the work that I've gotten was on Backstage.
Really?
Um, yeah. But of course I use, Backstage and Actors Access. I've gotten and casting networks. I've gotten stuff on all of those, but like my main jobs were on Backstage. And that was and I'm on I think the biggest thing, I'm on casting stuff like it's social media. I'm
Mm,
scrolling on it all of the time and I apply to everything. And if it asks for a pre-screen, I do a pre-screen. Like it's annoying, but I do it. And I think that's what a lot of the success is driven by because you do more work and you'll get more work. But I just applied for that. You had to insert like a minute video of you singing. And then the director called me and I thought it was like an interview. I didn't think he was going to give me the job right away, but he did. And so there were like 20 of us, and I was one of the five altos in the choir. And yeah, we literally got paid to go on a tour bus and go across the country and sing in churches for a month.
Yeah.
So
And
cool.
how was for because that's one I think one of the most liberating and cool life experiences ever, but for someone who like needs time to themselves at times, how was it create like setting boundaries when you're there, or are you always kind of go 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 around people and like completely stimulated a lot?
Yeah. Well, that was a little different because I met my boyfriend. So I just always wanted to be around him. We had the
Mm-hmm.
very lovey-dovey, first meeting
Yeah.
stage. But if he wasn't there, um, I'm not sure. And because we had roommates. And my roommate was lovely and I love her so much. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I kind of wonder it would have gone a lot differently if it weren't for him, I think. I don't know what I would have done. In terms of time. Yeah, I don't know. Good
So a
question.
very very cool experience. I also wanted to ask because I love the idea of mentorship and people like who've mentored people who are mentors I look up to and people I just think that given exchange where it's like you're mentored at a young age and then at some point I always find that that person ends up mentoring someone else and they keep giving back and it's like a pay it forward thing and mentorship is so the exchange of energy is so back and forth where it's not just the mentor providing a service, they get so much back in return. Did you
Yeah.
have a mentor growing up at all? And I know sometimes it's like our parents, but like a musical mentor or someone that you really looked up to?
Yeah. It probably I had three wonderful music teachers. So my a music teacher from fifth grade to eighth grade. We call her D Lock, Miss Lockman. She's the coolest. So I always had her. I always looked up to her. And then my band teacher was Mr. Leonard B. Lenny. So I had him in middle school. Also loved him. And then in high school, Mr. McCoach was my band teacher. And when I tell you he was my safe haven, I lived in that band room. I like stopped going to the cafeteria in 10th grade. I ate lunch in the band room because I wasn't the biggest fan of school. I loved learning, but I didn't love being surrounded by the people. Lots of people were like fake, and I wasn't popular. So I like very much minded my own business, but the only place I felt safe was in the band room. And I tell him to this day, I was like, you are the reason I did not drop out of high school. Because I
Mhm.
went to my guidance counselor junior year and I was like, please, 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 can I do Can I do online school? Can I please be homeschooled? I don't want to be here anymore. And he was like, no. I said, why? I'm
Mhm.
self-disciplined enough. Like I can do it. I'll get the work done, I promise. But it wasn't good enough reason. So if it weren't for my band teacher, I would have dropped out.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely my music teachers growing up.
Mhm.
My men.
Absolutely. And I find that the things that we go through in life always I try to focus that everything happens for a reason. And
Yeah.
I believe that. And you talked about when you were younger, songwriting didn't come very naturally or easy. And
Um,
there's this narrative around like the best artists in the world have to suffer and have to struggle. I mean, I do think great art can come from suffering, and I think that can help justify the suffering in itself because we can turn it into art and it's
yeah.
relatable and a lot of people can connect with it. Um, but let's segue into songwriting. So, I mean, you have these, I'm not even gonna lie, I re-listened to these songs. Speeding My Body, they're both bangers, y'all. They're actually bangers. You can check it out on Spotify. I'm not just gassing you up. Like, I actually listened to it. I'm like,
Okay.
I was like emotional. I was like, not that
So
it sounded
sorry.
oh my gosh, like speed. I was tripping. I was tripping. So you're a songwriter officially, and you're making really cool music now. And it seems like the one song, My Body, like these songs. I just want to ask where did that inspiration come from? Not specifically maybe for that song, but just the because writing's such a weird thing where it's like feels so spiritual to the point where it's like so easy to get blocked off and there's nothing there in that pool to pull from. And then
Yeah.
sometimes the floodgates just absolutely storm through and it's like you have so many ideas and you just have to write them all down and it's just like the most beautiful cathartic
Yeah.
release ever. So talk to me about your writing process and where it kind of started and how it's kind of evolved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's different for every song how they go. Speeding specifically was the first song I ever wrote, and that was in 2023 in the summer. And I remember I just kept having dreams about this guy, and I was like, and I would wake up in the morning and I would look for a song that relates to what I'm going through. And like I found some that were close, but I was like, I need one that exactly pinpoints so I can wake up after this dream, listen to the song, and like come back to reality. Because dreams have such a big effect on me. Like I wake up, I can't shake them. I'm thinking about them all day. It's the craziest thing. And so I like started writing that one night, and that's like all I could think about. The next day I go to work, I'm at like cleaning the pools, and I'm like sitting in the chair and I'm like "Da-na-na," and I'm like singing it and I'm writing the lyrics down on my phone. So that was one I just this needs to be done. And then I finished it. And then I didn't write anything else for like another year. Um and then yeah, but all the processes are different. And for like my body, because I knew I wanted to write a song about that. And that actually is a situation that happened to me when I was way younger, young and too young to be being, sexualized. And I had like written a little song that was similar to that, but I couldn't finish it. So then I was just like playing on my guitar, found these chords, and I was like, I like these chords. And I started writing a song about something completely different. And I was like, no. And then I was like, well, I wanted to write a song about this, and it wasn't working with that. Let me try that. And like that came together so quickly, that song,
Mhm.
which is always so cool. But yeah, and sometimes like you start it, you get a verse done, you let it go, and then you come back to it, and then you're able to write the second verse, and then the chorus and the bridge, and everything gets done. So it's very different for how they go, but they are all it's also writing it too because I mean they're all about situations that have happened to me, but some things are like fabricated. Like this line didn't happen, I just had to rhyme, you
Mm.
know? So yeah, they're not all completely true, but they are all parts of my life and it's so therapeutic to write about it. And to even look back, like I wrote Speeding in 2023, and having it now in 2025, I'm like, that doesn't affect me anymore. Like this is all water under the bridge now. And this person, like I'm like friends with him again, which is it's so cool also watching the growth of things you've gone through and how you are now.
Mhm.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's really cool
Yeah.
because I feel like there's this universality and specificity. So when you like the more like niche down like a film concept is or specific storyline it is, like your songs being specific stories that happen to you, and we might not think it's like universal, but so many people can connect to it in so many different ways,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool. So if you're listening to this, make sure guys tune in. It's pretty dope. For anyone who's out there who might be interested in singing and songwriting and getting songs produced, now I'm sure it's different now than it was back in the day because
Mm,
of technology and social media, and you could probably like sing something on GarageBand and then just get it out there. But
yeah.
what are some of the steps that you would take? Like let's say you have an idea and you wrote the song down, you had the song finished, how would you, because I know you have like a producer and you get into studio, like how would
Yeah.
someone get their song to like a high quality to the point where they can release a single?
Yeah. The very first producer that I worked with for Speeding, he actually reached out to me. It was the crazy thing. He found me on TikTok. This video had 6 likes. Like I was gonna delete it. And he found me and he was like, I love your sound. I want to work with you. And I was like, he's from Australia, like, and he's worked with Imagine Dragons. Like, it's the craziest thing. And I'm like, okay. So he produced that song for me. And then, as far as like finding a studio, I found one close to my house, and the guy is amazing and it's perfect. So that worked out well. You just kind of have to do your research. Um, but like going forward for like the next kind of producers, I would look on social media. I looked on TikTok. I looked up, producers near me and kind of tried to find people that have created sounds that I like. So it's really
Mhm.
just kind of put the research in there and then find the right person. And so now I'm working with the same one for the rest of my album. And this guy's from DC. He's like my age and he's super cool.
Cool.
So yeah,
And when you
so
say like what does a producer do? Like when you say that guy produced my song, what does he do to get it to the that yeah, I don't know. I don't
yeah. I send like shitty samples of what I want it to sound like in terms of the instruments. I play guitar and I play the piano, but not advanced to any extent. And I have this little MIDI keyboard thing, and so you can like plug it into your laptop and you get all kind of instrument sounds. Um, so like for my body, I sent him a version of the song with my lyrics, my vocals, my harmonies, and then I had like a bass line that I wanted. I had a guitar kind of what I wanted, some percussion stuff, and I created that. But you can also just send like for speeding, it was just me and my guitar the whole time, and I sent that off to him. And then you kind of send, inspirations that you would want it to sound like. So artists that are similar to you and like songs are similar to how you want it to be. And then they just take that and they make magic. I don't know how they do it, but they get on their guitars and they record it and they get on their little electric drums or and their little keyboards and I don't know what producers do. But they have magic and then they send you over like the instrumental of it and they completely bring it to life. And it's genius. And like you can work with them on a couple sessions and be like, change that. Oh, maybe do this instead. But yeah, they're just like a band essentially. They're one person band and they create everything for you and then send it back.
That's really cool. That's
And
really
they're
cool.
they're so talented. I
Well,
couldn't be me.
yeah, what is the release date like for you? Is it kind of like, and then it's because it's almost like sometimes like a film comes out, like you work on a film,
Uh,
a year later it comes out, and you're like, this is gonna change my life, and then it's like nothing really crazy comes from it, or sometimes
right.
like certain people reach out that like have you've never talked to you before that
Yeah.
compliment you. What is it like, I guess, at this stage? Because you're gonna be a superstar or something, it's gonna be different. But right now, like what is it like when you release something and then is it like, all right, on to the next one?
Yeah, I just at this point I just want to get everything out there. And I'm the most impatient person in the world. So I have like two more songs to record and then I'll have a full EP. And I just want to put it out now just to get it out. And even if no one listens to it. Like it's fine. It's okay because I mean it is for people because I want people to be able to relate to it. And I have gotten stories like people have reached out and be like this like I've been listening to speeding and it helped me through a breakup and blah blah blah. And like that's all I want. Like that's what I do it for so people can relate to it. But also, I wrote it for me. I wrote it so I can have something to listen to when I wake up from these dreams. So, yeah, I get really excited to release them so other people can enjoy them as well. But I'm not like too caught up on like, oh my gosh, only however many streams. Like I'm not in it for that. I'm
Hmm.
just in it so people can have something to relate to if they happen to stumble upon it.
Yeah, that's really cool because
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend's mom who's in like the space of she's like a mental health coach
Mm,
for or a mental wellness coach for like artists, and her like mission is to reduce or completely eliminate like artistic or like celebrity suicide kind of,
yeah.
and such an amazing person to talk to. She's incredible, and she kind of introduced me to Jelly Roll. Like I had no idea who
Oh
he was.
yeah.
And I was just like, I mean, I think I heard his like viral speech of him winning an award. I'm like, this guy's cool, but I have no idea who he is, and it's very easy to judge a book by its cover. And then I
Yeah.
started listening like to a podcast. I listened to a podcast of him, and I'm like, God,
Mm,
this guy's amazing. This guy's genuinely like the greatest comeback story, and just leads with so much love and intention, and has such a strong mission. And
right.
his songs are so impactful, and that the power of story. Like sometimes you have songs where it's really just it's not clickbait, but it's like it's a beat and it gets people dancing and moving. And then
Yeah.
sometimes you have lyrics that like move hearts and souls. And
Yeah.
he was sharing that he's got a couple of songs where people were like, "You got me out of the dumps," like in this one. Like I was on the edge. Like I was like, "You saved my life." With like a
Yeah.
song has the power to save someone's life. Like it's amazing. And
Yeah.
I feel like at least I'm excited. Now I'm like a fan. Like I'm actually excited to see what you have coming out. You're gonna save a lot of lives, Miss Kimata. Pretty
Crazy.
crazy. Pretty crazy. Okay. I want to go back to performance a little bit. I feel like because again, all kind of like you're an artist in so many different capacities, you're a storyteller. And I saw, and I'd love for you to expand on this. I don't want to butcher this, but it was like telling Jesus' story and you performed it. I don't know if it was at a church event, but because I know like the story of God and Jesus and you can and that was such a big part of your life growing up, and then being able to tell that story and bring that art to community, I think is so beautiful and impactful. So if you have anything to share about what that experience was like for you, um I'd love to hear it.
Well, I think you're talking about, is that the contract I did in Maryland? It was like because it was like a
Maybe,
Christmas kind of show, where
probably.
like the robes and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that was like the telling of like the birth of Jesus, and that was like a Christmas show that they did at this resort.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it felt like I grew up and we did like, the pageants where it was the Christmas pageants, and we would tell the story of the birth of Jesus. And I
Mhm.
even had like old friends from my church that came and then like, oh, it's just like you did growing up every single year, like telling the birth of Jesus. And I was like, I know. So yeah, that does all feel very familiar. And even doing the choir tour, like we were singing like Christian, kinds of
Mhm.
music. And so that all felt it's very comfortable for me, for sure.
Mhm.
That's what I grew up
Yeah,
doing.
that's really cool. And it's cool because I feel like I've started, not that I was like, I was maybe more of like an agnostic, I'd say, when I was younger. Um, I kind of believing in a higher power, but not really being able to like identify what it was. And
Yeah.
we never really went to church growing up. And recently I've started to just like, you know what, Andrew, like let's just like go a year and like dive deep into it kind of. And like actually, because I believe in like, if you believe in something, like the placebo can like make it real. And if you just believe that there's a God, a spirit that's constantly leading like love through you and watching over you and guiding you,
Yeah.
that it can just let you know that you're not alone. And it's felt really good. It felt
Yes,
really good. And I
right.
started praying
That's
a lot.
yeah.
And so I'm just going to church since you were younger. How has God played a role in your life, like personal life and then also artistic life? And like when times are down, like do you pray, and like how has God kind of influenced who you are as a person?
Yeah. Well, I always think of it as a relationship more than like a set of rules that you have to follow. Obviously, be a good person, but yeah, I think of God as someone who I talk to alone, maybe in my introvert moments when I need to be alone in my room and talk to someone. Um, just always has been there for me. And since I live so close to my church too, I would walk there a lot. I have a lot of late night walks. But growing up in high school, I'd usually just go when I was really upset and I would just walk to church and I would just like sit against the building and just be there with God. And it was always so comforting. But God is also, the people. Like there's a song and it's like the church is not the stable, the church is not a I can't remember. Da da da. The church is the people. And the people that I went to church with are still there for me. They are still so supportive of me, even though we don't really, go as much. Um, but so I think he's carried on through those relationships that I've made, being there every Thursday and Saturday and Monday for classes. So yeah, they're with me through the people that have supported me, and especially in like my music and my singing. Like that's where I got my start, singing those songs in church.
Mhm.
So yeah, still have that connection.
Yeah,
Very grateful for it.
yeah. Alrighty. Now you also say you're a bit of a beach lover, which is
Love.
awesome. And I love that because I am too.
I know.
And I saw that you've traveled quite a bit. And I just think the idea of travel and also being in nature, I think
Mhm.
travel is like the fastest way to grow, to build empathy,
Mhm.
just see things in a different light, in a different world with different cultures who do things a different way.
Mhm.
So I guess tell me what does travel mean to you, and like some of the places, maybe reflecting on some of the places that you've been and how you were influenced in certain ways.
Oh my gosh. See, again, the terrible memory. I went over to Europe right before my senior year of high school, and it was on a music trip. So we all went, and I had my clarinet, my saxophone, and I played in the band around Europe, and I sang in the choir. And we went to like Germany, France, Austria, Switzerland, Czech Republic. And like, I remember the beautiful infrastructure and everything, but I don't really remember much besides that. It's so bad, Andrew. My memory is so bad. Um, but I mean, besides that, I've gone to I think I have almost every state checked off for the most part in the United States. Um, and I love it out west. The people there, life just seems kind of more calm out there.
Mm,
And like I love Arizona. Oh my gosh, I love Arizona. So somewhere like there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's as much as like the people that I go for, but just the scenery, like the difference
mm,
of views, because it's so different everywhere that you go.
yeah.
But yeah, love the beach.
Then, yeah. So you're more of like a beach girl than like a city girl. Yeah.
100%. I do not like the city. No.
Oh, I respect, respect, respect.
Yeah.
And so I'm always I'm like I went through a huge hippie phase and I'm like big into it,
Right.
and I kind of like there's like study and research around grounding, and in Eastern philosophy they call it forest bathing, where it's like full on medicine. It's like a full on anti-inflammatory. It's just connecting and being in nature.
Yeah.
Um do you find that? Do you find it as like a meditation when you're able to just like be in nature, and like do you
Yeah.
like is it like walks in the park or walks in like the forest, or is it being
Yeah.
in the ocean? Like how do you connect with nature?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even like walking in my neighborhood, like I take walks almost every night, and even though I'm freezing cold here, it's still just so nice just to breathe fresh air and look up at the stars that I feel very, very calm, when I come home. But
Mm-hmm.
nothing beats the warmness of the beach and the salty air, and you hear those seagulls. Yeah, I feel I'm very much at peace when it's warm and when I'm at the beach, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, and this is like one of my final questions there. Um, Talk to me about the Eagles and just culture and just Philly Dilly hashtag for life.
Oh,
Yeah,
bluebird.
what did you have you has your family been diehard Eagles since like day one,
Oh,
like
oh
from
yeah.
years out?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're all like from this area. So my dad and he has two brothers. They're very passionate Eagles fans. And yeah, it wasn't even a choice. Like you're literally born into it. And my cousin Erin had a daughter and she's wearing like Eagles onesies. I mean, and they live in Florida, which is funny. But it's yeah, everyone in our family is just an Eagles fan. And we would have Eagles watch parties all the time. And so we'd all be downstairs watching. We'd have snacks. And I'd be like laying on the floor. I'm like 5. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm here. And my uncles would be yelling and everyone, get mad because we weren't that hot. But well, watching them succeed, like my dad is like close to tears. They win the Super Bowl, and it's like so cute to see. I know he won it in 2018, but it's like seeing these men that have grown up and waited their whole lives for the Super Bowl and for them to finally get it. It's so cute. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
now we're all, and now my mom's a big fan. Her wallpaper is Cooper DeJean and Jalen Carter. Like she has, and then that's her lock screen, not her kids, not the cats. It's them. And then her home screen is like a picture of the whole team winning the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of gotten to maybe a bit of an obsessive point, but it's something that we can all bond over, which I
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
That is the beautiful thing about sports. I think
Yeah.
sports is it's like the ability to just bring people together, which is cool
Yes.
because ultimately I'm like it's kind of a silly thing to worship, like us worship
Yeah.
like this silly kind of game, but anything that can bring an entire community together and just
Yeah.
strengthen it. Granted, sometimes Philly fans can go pretty
They can,
nuts, and
they're passionate.
that's true. That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. But like there's such a rich culture there,
Yeah.
and I think it's interesting because I mean I feel like I've been seeking so like there are certain cultures that have embedded rituals that they do. They have these cultures and these things yeah that they do, and like I feel like I don't like in America there like aren't that many. I mean there are, but at the same time it's not as I guess influential, and it's almost like sports is like a religion in that aspect where it's like
Yeah.
something that we can all fight for, come together for, argue about, banter about, give us anything to talk about, to like
Yeah.
honestly it's a way to escape as well with all the
For
crazy
yeah,
stuff
I
going on
was
in the
thinking of it
world.
like sports is so similar to like film, like it's entertainment.
Hmm.
They're doing commercials like actors do. Like they're so similar.
Yeah, and I'll never forget there was I forget which player it was. Mar Hamlin, some maybe, but one of the guys who had a heart attack on like the defensive end,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and to see both cities who like kind of hated each other all
Yeah.
come in together and respect there,
Mhm.
because I was like that was a beautiful moment for all of us
Yeah.
um
Right.
watching, and it's just I think it's really cool what the culture of being like a and also like being diehard, like having like a family embedded. Like we like the Eagles, but we're not like that. Like that's cool. That's cool to experience. Do you guys
Yeah.
have like a silver linings playbook? Like, do you guys have
Yes.
superstitions?
Oh my gosh, yes. So like we would have these family parties, but we stopped having them. And right around the time we stopped having them is when they won their first Super Bowl. So now we have like it's just the four of us that live here. We have our spots where we're allowed to sit and no one is allowed over. Nobody now. And I think after we won this year, my mom's like, okay, we should give this up. We should start seeing our family again. It's like so sad. Our uncles and our cousins are like watching it together and they're like, do you want to come? And we're like, no, we can't. We can't come. We need to watch it here. It's so sad. So I think we might be ending that. But yeah, superstitions as far as like, washing jerseys, can't wash the jersey. My sister dyes her hair. She's like, my hair was purple when they started winning. I'm not dyeing my hair. And, again, until they win the Super Bowl or whatever. So yeah, superstitious for sure.
Pretty cool. That's
I
pretty
know.
cool.
So
That's pretty
funny.
cool. Okie dokie, my friend. Let's see. I touched on mostly everything. So we talked about the past, we talked about the present a little bit. Now we can maybe dive into the future. I always have mixed reviews every time I ask this question because I do believe in like working in silence behind the scenes and then let your work speak for itself. So I'm not gonna like just outright ask like what's your dream, goal, ambition. But if you have like a vision board or a mood board, or if there are things exciting on the horizon that you want to attract or that are happening, um, how would, yeah, I guess vision, mood board, however you're feeling, however you want to ask this question about a vision for the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm steadily working towards moving out to LA.
Hey,
Yeah, and honestly, 90%, I just want to be warm. I'm so sick of the cold. I can't do it anymore. I need to live by a beach, and that's where film and music are. So I'm inkling towards there. It's kind of a slow process though, because it's across the country. I wish it wasn't so far away. Um, but yeah, getting there, and I would just love to do more film and I want to release all my music, obviously. I just want to have my EP out there, just to have it out there. And if something comes from it, cool. If not, whatever. Um, I will just continue to do film. And I think since I've graduated, I've just tried to do everything that I could just to experience what kind of things I could do in entertainment. Like I was a magician's assistant when I was in Tennessee. It's just so crazy. But like I just feel like I've kind of done everything. And now, almost 2 years later, I figured out exactly what it is that I want to do. And that's film and music. So I just want to kind of get out to LA and see what's out there.
heck yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Now to wrap things up, we have because we're a very official podcast here, we do rapid fire questions.
Of course.
So some of them, again, you can take your time with some of them because questions are crazy. But start off, what Cassie would you say brings you the most joy right now?
Oh, right now, my cat.
I knew you were gonna say it.
That was coming.
It's a good answer though.
My daughter.
And top four values.
Values. Um, Empathy. Um, oh my gosh. Da, 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 da. I
On
don't
the
know if
hot seat.
I just have like lack of judgment. No judgment. I don't know what that would be. Um, values. Uh, hardworking and uh, supportive. Being supportive.
Good answers, great answers, great answers. Okay, this is a two-parter.
Okay.
So, who have you been told or that you've come up with is like your singer like compare like singer comp, like someone that people say you sound or look or like give that kind of vibe? And then who was a singer that you was like an idol, someone that you really looked up to, someone that you admire?
Right. I've gotten a lot of like Olivia Rodrigo, and Madison Beer is my favorite artist, and like Renee Rapp, um, just because I'm loud, and and theater background too. I think that comes from that. And then yeah, growing up, it was Demi Lovato, it was Christina Aguilera, I was in here belting my face off.
Love
Yeah,
it. Love
artists.
it.
Yep.
All right. What is a, I forget, I might have asked you this already, but I'm gonna ask you again. What is a book, movie, or TV character that's most like you?
You have not asked me
I
that.
didn't answer that. This is a doozy. This is a real thinker.
Honestly. Tris from Divergent. But there's a very specific part
Hmm.
when she's in abnegation still, with her brother, Caleb. There's a part where there's a faction list and she like, drops her things or whatever. And he immediately goes up and helps her, get those things. And there's a scene and he was like, weren't you gonna help her? And she's like, I was thinking about helping her. That's me. Or even like if someone like looks really good, I'm like, oh, you look really good. I should tell you, but I don't. That is specifically that just specific moment. I felt very related to.
Hmm.
So I
I
would say
see.
her in that.
She's a great character. That character arc, the growth, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay, you did dabble in the theater, and I feel like every theater kid has like one horror story at least. So, do you have
Gosh.
any theater horror stories?
I mean, are not to bash my high school theater, but it was a bit unorganized. I didn't know what a call sheet was until I got to college because we didn't have call sheets. We would all just have to be there every single day, no matter what. And whenever I did the plays, like I was always just in the background. I never was a lead in a play. So I would just sit there for hours upon hours and I would never touch the stage every day after school. So that was rough. I wasted a lot of my time. So probably that. And I hate when things are unorganized.
Myth acting, right?
Yeah, call them
Freaking myth
out.
acting. Freaking myth acting theater program. Get it together.
Get it together. Maybe it's different now. There is a different director, so I don't
That's
know.
true. That's true. All
We
right.
gotta.
Who is the greatest eagle of all time?
Oh,
Oh no.
uh,
Don't hold back. You're gonna break a lot of hearts. It's okay.
look.
You're gonna have to kill some darlings. I'm sorry.
I know this is not happy. I mean, he wasn't the best, but personally, I loved Darren Sproles. He was so cute and little. He wasn't the best though, but I loved him. I know Saquon Barkley's gonna be up there eventually,
Mm,
but maybe like Shady McCoy.
mm.
I mean, he's gotta be up there. But also, I mean, Brandon Graham, lifelong Eagle. I can't pick one. You
Oh,
can't
come on. You gotta.
not pick one.
Okay, we'll circle back later.
Oh, pick one.
What is your favorite show or performance, like live performance that you've done?
Um,
Whether it was like a personal feat in the performance that you were doing, or if it was like the audience reaction was just so loud.
mm, um, I mean, I had a point when I was in Tennessee, um, when I was singing Unchained Melody, which there's a video of me doing that on my Instagram, and there was like a huge crowd of people, and there's like a really high note that you hit, and I hit it, and everyone started cheering really loud. So probably that moment. I was
That's
like,
it.
oh, wow, I like I started crying.
Okay, you were a bit of a basketball head back in the day. Who's the GOAT? Who's the greatest of all time?
Oh, I don't really watch that much
Solid.
basketball though. Um, yeah. Um, I'm gonna be so dumb. Who was it in the first Space Jam movie?
Michael Jordan.
It's Michael Jordan. I couldn't think of his name. Michael
Good,
Jordan.
good answer. Good answer. All right, Miss Cassie, what's your happy place?
The beach.
Which beach?
I don't even have a specific beach. It used to though, we used to go to Orlando a lot growing up, and we stayed at the Bonnet Creek Resort. We wouldn't even go to Disney World or anything. We would just be in Orlando, it'd be at the resort. So it actually might be that resort,
Mm,
but also any beach, truly
very cool. Very cool.
happy.
All right, Cassidy. So you live a beautiful life. You're like 166 years old doing a bunch of witchcraft cool stuff to with the elixirs to live to be 180. You
Abs.
drop single after singer, banger after banger. and build an amazing audience that just wants more and more. You freaking do tours around, you do amazing films, you have a family, you give back, and you're surrounded by thousands of cats. You probably have a cat shelter. You live just an abundant, beautiful, everything that you wanted, you manifest in this life. But unfortunately, it's your time. And no matter wherever you're going off in, into the next life, the next world, your time is up here and your
Are you killing
funeral
me?
okay, listen,
Did
it's
you just kill me?
my storytelling abilities need work. And it's now your funeral, and you have friends and fans and loved ones who are circling, and it's a sad day, but it's a beautiful day. And what do you want people to say about you, and how do you want to be remembered? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Can't believe you just killed me.
Okay, chill out. That I used very long. I should have just made it short and sweet. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I like my life flashed before my eyes and now I'm dead in the ground. What do I want them to say? Um, I hope they say that I made them laugh. I hope they say that I made them uh feel comfortable and wanted and that they felt loved by me. That's what I want people to say.
Beautiful answer.
I hope.
And
Yeah,
and finally, you're going back to high school where you're
I'll take me back.
running into band and it's in lunch, it's an uncertain time. What advice would you have for young Cassidy who's going
Oh,
to
have some confidence, girlfriend. I was not confident and I like recently went back and looked at all the videos of me in high school. Like there's one I sang Feeling Good with my jazz band at my senior year and my hair was like lighter, it was like blonde and I had this like big old ponytail and I was just singing up there. I was like, I look so great. Like and I sound good, like better than I thought that I did. I was like, have some confidence. Like I really didn't have any. So, yeah. I would tell her, you're cool. You're fine. Don't be so insecure.
I usually wrap it there, but I want to follow up on that. How do you think people develop confidence? Like, where does confidence come from? Is it innate? Is it something
Ah,
you're born with? Or like, if someone's struggling with confidence,
yeah.
what would you say?
I don't know, because it's really just impacted by the people around you.
Mm.
Because growing up, I just like felt so invisible. So I just felt invisible. But then I went to college and people are like talking to me. They're like inviting me to parties and stuff. I'm like, what is going on? So I don't know. I think it has a lot to do with your atmosphere.
Do you think you changed and like then the people around you started like reflecting that back to you, or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just had a new group of really cool people that finally like saw you?
Yeah, and because I think just I've lived in the same place my whole life with the same people. And they knew me as who I was when I was in kindergarten. Um, so yeah, no, I think changing and going to a new environment, maybe changing the people that you hang out with will in turn help you as well. And
Mm.
just doing what you love. Like, I mean, I go to college and I'm studying what I want to do. That helps your confidence. You're doing what you want. You're pursuing what you want to do.
Mm.
Yeah, that.
Hey man, Cassie. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. You're such a
Me.
light. And honestly, I mean, I'm like excited to see this thing come out because she cooked. She cooked on the short film,
Oh my
guys. Like
gosh.
she's so emotionally available, and I'm just like
Gosh.
trying to keep up, trying to keep up. And seriously, guys, freaking speeding and my body.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
it's here. It's here. And it's here to stay. And there's gonna be a lot more coming. So I'm just again, thank you for coming into my life. It's just been a really cool month journey, and I'm excited to again be a fan and see where you head off and check you out when you're in LA and cool things are coming, my friend. Cool things are coming. But before I let you go, where can the audience find you? Where can we support you?
Oh my goodness. I'm everywhere. Everywhere you can find me. Just my name. Kassidy space Kimata.
That sounds like a song, low key. That sounded like a
Should I
song.
make that a song?
Yeah.
Anyway, Kimata. Yeah, you can look me up anywhere. Anywhere and everywhere. You can find me. Would love that.
Electrifying. All right, Cassie. Thanks so much for being here. Have a
Thank you.
beautiful rest of your day.
You too. Thank you so much. Goodbye.